I was actually born with a super rare genetic condition. It's called Beals syndrome. And what this does is it causes a underdevelopment of muscle and bone mass, as well as extremely long limbs. So long legs, long arms, long fingers, long toes that are basically unable to put on any weight, no matter how much I eat, which I know sounds like the dream, but it's not really. It also causes contraction of joints and tendons. So I have elbows, knees, fingers, and toes that don't straighten out all the way, and they remain bent and contracted. You can see with my hands, my fingers don't straighten out. Everything is tight and bent. So being super long and lean and also very bent led to some fun nicknames like E.T. the Alien or Anorexic or Skeleton, just to name a few. So if that weren't enough, with being super long, super lean, and bent, I was also born with something called clubbed feet. Clubbed feet is when your feet are turned in or out and they are deformed at birth. Mine were turned so far out that they were twisted out and then pinned up against my legs. So they were like folded and tucked in at birth. And the doctors, when they looked at me, they said, I don't think your daughter will never walk. They didn't think that I would walk. So I went through several surgeries just as a baby to try to bring the feet back down, and then spent most of my childhood either in a cast or a brace or a wheelchair because of working on the feet. But I was able to walk. But after all that, after spending my whole childhood in a cast or a brace or a wheelchair, the left foot was still not completely flat, so I had to have another surgery in high school and then one more in college. And by the way, it's still not fully flat, but at least I can walk and I can do so without any pain for the most part. So if those things weren't enough, the awkward Beals body, the clubbed feet, several surgeries, foot problems. In my later childhood years, I also developed extremely aggressive scoliosis, which is, of course, a curvature of the spine. So my back actually developed this huge lump. You could see it through my clothing. You could visibly see it. I was hunched over, and the spine was just curving out of control. So this was obviously a very painful experience, but also very embarrassing. And I tried to hide it under baggy clothes and baggy sweatshirts so that nobody would notice the lump, hopefully. And also tried to hide my skinny body under baggy clothes, always wore long sleeves, long pants, even in the hottest weather. And then when I was 14 years old, the curve in my spine had become so severe that the doctors decided, okay, Emily is probably done growing now, and so we need to operate ASAP on that spine, because if we don't, it's going to crush her lungs. Yeah, so there wasn't really much of a choice for my parents, who were against the surgery because it is extremely high risk. So here I was. Now I had to have the biggest, most dangerous surgery that I would ever have to have, hopefully, that I ever have to have. It was a 10-hour-long back surgery, which basically involved cutting open my entire upper body. I have a scar that wraps around from my midsection all the way to my spine, and then one all along the base of my spine. So very high-risk surgery, and during the surgery, I guess I lost a lot of blood, and I had a blood transfusion. And then during my very painful, very morphine-induced, very foggy recovery, I had what I now know was a near-death experience. So I was in the hospital room, and I had a dream one night, or what I thought was a dream, where I saw my grandmother, who had passed away when I was 7 years old. And I used to always see her in my dreams, so I was so excited to see her because she was the best. I loved her, and I missed her so much every day. So for whatever reason, she's sitting on a park bench in the most warm environment. I can't even describe it. So warm, so inviting, and I'm running up to her, and I'm running up to her as my 7-year-old self, the age that I was when she passed away. So I'm running towards her. I have pigtails in my hair like I used to wear. I have a purple t-shirt on that I always used to wear. And I'm running up to her. I'm so happy to see her. I'm so excited to be there. And then she yelled at me. She screamed at me. She said, I could not be there. She did not want me there. I was not to follow her. I could not come with her. I had no business there. And I had to go back to my mom. She was screaming, Emily, get back. You need to go back. You need to go back to your mom. And I was crushed. I was just so confused because we used to hang out in my dreams all the time. So I was heartbroken. I was scared. I was confused. And I just remember waking up in my hospital bed, soaking my sheets in tears and sobbing, and telling my mom what had just happened. And my mom reassured me, like, oh, it's okay, honey, it's probably just a bad dream. Just try to go back to sleep. But I think both of us knew it was a lot more than a dream. So, if those things, so going through all those things, the awkward Beals body growing up, the clubbed feet, several surgeries on the feet, scoliosis, major scoliosis surgery, and then a near-death experience. Going through those things has taught me a lot, but I didn't have those realizations right after my near-death experience, as one might expect. After being blessed enough to survive the scoliosis surgery, you guys, I still had a lot of anger around my body. I still had so much anger with God, wondering why he did this to me, why I was put in this situation. I just didn't understand why I couldn't just be normal, right? Why had my life had to be so hard? So I still spent so many years hiding under baggy clothes, trying to hide my body and keeping my story as this like shameful secret. And I even had people come into my life who encouraged me to hide, who told me not to wear shorts, not to wear dresses, not to show my legs. And so I've just learned to hide. It wasn't until my late 20s when I finally realized a few things about my quest for being normal. So I will share 3 of my learnings with you guys tonight. The first thing I've learned is that our challenges are actually our biggest gifts, our biggest blessings. Everything that I thought was happening to me was, of course, happening for me, right? I was given those challenges because A, I'm strong enough to handle them, and B, they taught me strength, they taught me resilience, compassion for other people, humility, and I've realized that I've been given those challenges so that I can help and inspire you, anyone who needs it. The second thing I've learned is that normal does not even exist. Every human experiences pain, trauma, insecurities, adversity, differences. Nobody gets to escape it. Everybody is dealing with something, even if we can't always see it on the outside, or on Facebook, or on Instagram, where everything's perfect, right? Everybody has their stuff. And even scientifically, when we look at humans, no 2 humans are identical genetically, physically, physiologically. Even identical twins have different genetics. And then when we look at nature, every single leaf on every tree has a unique pattern, just like our fingerprints. So nothing in nature was meant to be the same. Then what is normal? It doesn't exist. The third thing that I've realized is only I can ever show up to this planet as me. Never can be another me in the past, in the present, or in the future. Only you can show up as you. So if our challenges are actually our biggest gifts, if normal doesn't even exist, and if only I could be me, and only you can be you, I wonder why anyone ever strives for normal. I think that we should strive to be our weird, unique, wonderful, beautiful selves. And I'd like to leave you guys with one last thought. that if only you can be you ever on this planet, what are you planning to do with that great honor and gift? Thank you, guys.